Hey, what's going on, everybody? YouTube memberships are, I believe people are signing up still. I had a few people sign up. I thought they were turned off. So if you're listening to this and you want to try it out, just hit the join button. We have our top 3 tiers that we want to thank. Freak Maniac 90210 at the World Champ level and at the Grand Slap level, Draz. You guys get bonus content before everybody else when stuff is filmed. A lot of other cool perks that are out there. I'm not going to go through them all now, but if you want to support, donate, anything like that, there is a link tree as well as merchandise. And make sure you check out my guest links also and support them with their merchandise and social medias. Without further ado, let's get into the ABJ podcast, Not Cool in High School, episode 141. I don't know why it says that in the title, but it's the Lighthouse with ABBS. I guess I forgot to delete the 1989 from last episode. So it's a half Taylor Swift episode, half Lighthouse. So let's have some fun. Let's get into it. This is an ABJ podcast production. Join us. Would you kindly join us at the Cult of ABJ Discord community? We'll see you there. Join us. We are live, Not Cool in High School, episode 141, The Lighthouse with my buddy. Haven't seen you in so long. I love catching up with you. Without further ado, let's bring in my guest here, ABBS.
Yeah, hello, friend. It's been so long. I miss you.
I miss you so much. You know what? I feel bad. I didn't bring your name up in a past episode. We talked about wrestling hugs, and you know what? And I feel like ABBS, you should have been in that list. And I'm publicly apologizing on my platform when I said people who are the good huggers of this business. It's definitely ABBS, and I forgot to put you in there. But here, I'm gonna quick ask you this question: who's your favorite hug in professional wrestling?
There's so many. Well, I always say that Weber is the nicest dude I've ever met in wrestling.
Bro,
so
you literally just said all our number ones as well.
Probably Weber Hatfield. Probably Weber Hatfield.
Myself and Sonny DeFarge both says the biggest hug, the best hug in wrestling is Weber. For such a small man, he packs such a big hug.
Oh, and he means it too.
Yeah, he totally. I love the fact that you literally said the same person. It's going to be a bit now. He's going to become the hugger section. So good. But yeah, so let people know who may not know who you are or what you do. Who is ABBS and what is ABBS?
ABBS is totally not fake ABBS because my abs are totally real. The most realist in the business, the hardest core everywhere. Totally not fake, only abs, blah, blah, blah. That's all my catchphrases bundled into one. But
yes,
I have a 6-pack and it's totally real. And if you hit it, you're going to break your hand or foot or whatever.
A independent professional wrestler.
Independent professional wrestler, though, yes.
That's you haven't got all the monikers, yes. And we met a while back doing content. ABBS does have a full episode. If you want to go check out the interview tabs or on the ABJ podcast, there is an episode of ABBS telling his entire backstory. Now he's joining us doing a movie review, and boy, did you pick a movie? What?
I'm a big movie guy, so.
Well, why was Lighthouse one of the ones you wanted to jump onto?
Because that's my type of movie. The weird, art housey, like just nonsensical nonsense that's so freaking good. It's a like I just love like nonsense movies like that. Like you had all these other horror movies on there that like are all great, but like I don't think I would contribute so much more than I would here.
Yeah. Now, did you see the movie The Witch?
I did. Robert Eggers, I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go seek out that movie now because he made this one. And people are like, if you like The Witch, you'll like this. Like, I was like, all right, so now I have to go watch The Witch.
And on the flip side, it's not really a horror, but the movie he did, The Northman, it's also really good.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a Viking movie. It's really sick.
Okay, awesome. So let's kind of get into a little bit of this here. So the Lighthouse is, now this is a movie, once again, I sucked at consuming media for the longest time with doing the podcast and everything like that and wrestling, and I've been behind. So I really enjoy the fact that this content has really made me find my love for pop culture again. But the Lighthouse, 2019 film, which was a screenplay wrote by Max Eggers, but then produced and directed by Robert Eggers. And it stars William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson as 19th century lighthouse keepers in Cornwall after being stranded at a remote New England outpost by a wild storm. The film has defined categorizations in media interpretations of its range amongst horror film, psychological thriller, and character study, among other things. The movie runs for 109 minutes. Its budget was $11 million, and its box office made 18.3. The only really cast of this movie is essentially just, for the most part, two people. There's a few other people who are in the scenes physically, but the star of the show is just William and Robert Pattinson. And I'm going to be honest, this is one of those movies where I remember everyone saying when Batman was cast, they're like, man, I think Robert Pattinson showed he could play like he's more than just Edward, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I'll give him a whole lot of credit. He really has shed that whole Twilight image. Even he himself admitted he doesn't enjoy being identified in that. So I'm glad he could shed it off.
And this one was funny because it's casting him, who is now the current Batman, or one of the current Batmans, and then the guy everybody always wants to play the Joker on film, William Dafoe, which is hilarious.
Everyone's favorite villain. He's always a villain.
But then, like, we'll kind of get into it, but going forward from this point on, everything will contain spoilers. We will be doing a scene-by-scene kind of breakdown, talking about the movie. I'll kind of set it up. If there's something in that scene that you really want to point at, Abs, don't be afraid to jump in there and get it out. We're going to talk right now, get into the movie. So they arrive on the island of the Lighthouse and left there pretty much with no transportation.
Right.
The very beginning of the scenes that we're going to kind of go over is just kind of visually what you interpret here, because there's really no dialogue. There's no stuff on the screen to set the tone. You are left to your own devices. Most of this movie, as a listener, this movie does not hold your hand whatsoever or say time, date, location, people. Like, you're learning as you go. And I really kind of enjoyed that with this movie.
No caption at the bottom saying New England 18 something blah blah blah.
Yeah. So that's how I did it. And as an audience member, I really had to, especially in this part where I'm taking notes, you kind of having a direction of where you think it's going to go. And I'm taking my notes here. I'm like, question mark? Like, you know what I mean? But it really sets the tone of the Lighthouse itself. The movie's shot in complete black and white. And which I think is the best choice of all time for this movie. I really like that. It sets the tone that everything is small, it's cramped, it's noisy, like the house is creaking, and every couple minutes that foghorn's going off. So the whole movie you're hearing boo. It's
a sensory nightmare.
Yeah, it really sets the tone that when you're stuck in complete isolation in this small, cramped, wet, cold, damp, kind of probably smells musky, the ocean smell, like it's probably not great place to be completely stranded with nothing but your own thoughts and hard work for the next 4 weeks. Spoiler alert. As he's going through everything, he's setting up his bed. They're kind of sleeping right next to each other. So like I said, there's no privacy. There's no, you are literally stuck by this person this entire time. And he finds this a hole in the mattress, and he kind of digs through it with his fingers, and he finds a mermaid's statue. Kind of stuffs
that'll come into play later.
Yeah, he stuffs that in his pocket, and he keeps moving forward. They go downstairs, and they're having their first dinner. Now, there is definitely a theme to this. It's kind of like the day shift, then the night shift events, and it kind of bounces back and forth amongst that. But it also blends a lot of stuff together because you don't know exactly how long they've been there, or how, as the audience, once again, they don't tell you anything. So you think maybe 2 or 3 days has passed, but to them they say, well, we've been here, so you don't really know these things. Yeah. But you do find out in their first conversation, they're there for their 4 weeks. There's huge differences amongst the two people. One really doesn't say anything. He's to the book. He's on assignment. I'm here to work. This is what the book says I have to do. And the other one, the older man of the two, is really like, this is what's going to happen. I'm the boss. I'm going to take charge here. I have the lighthouse. You don't go up there. You do all the grunt work, and that's just the way it's going to be. But he kind of says it. Yeah, he's the vet. He's pulling rank, and he's not really assertive when he talks about it this first time. He kind of just lets him say, "This is how it's going to go," and it's kind of like cordial. And the other character kind of just accepts it because it's his first time here on the island. They toast for a drink. The younger man says, "I'm sorry, I don't drink. That's something I don't do." And he goes, "It's bad luck to not toast a drink." And he goes, "Respectfully, I'm not going to do that." Yeah. And then it kind of portrays William Dafoe's character as the drunk. He's this is how you do it. And he gets drunk, but he's a drunk, but he also seems like he can handle his liquor. He's not like getting out of control, if that makes sense.
Well, for now.
Yeah. And it really sets the tone that they're definitely not close. They're not friends. They didn't know each other before here. They're just two strangers. They can get along. Yeah, they can be cordial. Now, this is where the first night happens of the island, and it gets a little weird. He finds a body out in the middle of the water during his, like, kind of going around at night. Every night he kind of looks up at William Dafoe at the lighthouse just to kind of like almost like curious of what Will's doing the whole time. I'm going to refer to him as Will because we don't know the character's name as of yet. But William Dafoe's character, he keeps looking up at him, and in the first couple scenes here, so especially this one, if I'm not like, it's more like he's interested in what the other man is doing and not so much other things. If that sets yeah. But he sees a body in the water. He goes out and he feels like he's getting closer and closer, but he's getting deeper and deeper. And when he finally gets there, he falls under the water. And a mermaid comes and saves him, or just swims up and screams. And then he wakes up the next day and he's right back to working and cleaning. He doesn't say anything to anybody. He just kind of just goes about his day. He's fixing the hole in the roof. He's mopping the floors. He's doing everything he's supposed to do. And as he's fixing the roof, he kind of looks through the hole in the thing, and William Dafoe's sleeping. But he's like sleeping weird. Like he's like humping the bed or something. I don't know. I didn't know what to pull from that scene. Maybe you got something I didn't. But it was a strange scene.
No, yeah, definitely. And I love how also for such a serious and weird movie, the use of farts.
Yeah, there's definitely humor in this as well.
Like just Willem Dafoe just farting.
Yeah.
Like unapologetically in front of him.
Yeah.
There's something about the lighthouse that kind of hooks both the light in the lighthouse that hooks both these guys, and Willem Dafoe has developed an obsession with it.
Yes,
and he doesn't want Pattinson anywhere near it.
Then he's hauling coal back and forth from the shed to the furnace, and then he has to do all these chores with the lighthouse, the furnace, to keep the island going, clean the island, do the whole thing. And he's lugging up these giant barrels, and William Dafoe's like, "Yeah, now take it back downstairs and use the oil can next time, you idiot." And like Pattinson's losing his mind because now Dafoe is really hard on him, like kind of like getting a little. He's getting not so much friendly.
Yeah.
And then once they sit down and talk at dinner, and he kind of says, "Hey, there's a way you can handle this island. You're trying to stay quiet and a tough guy, and you're trying to keep to yourself and just work. And I drink, and I recommend you find something in between the two, or you're gonna drive yourself crazy here. Yeah, like you're looking at me as the drunk idiot because he's like, drinking makes you stupid.
Like his last guy that was there.
Yeah, and then
the guy Pattinson replaced.
Yes, and then you learn about him. He was obsessed with the lighthouse. He was seeing mermaids. And everything that he tells Pattinson's like, wait, he starts to realize that I'm starting to see these same things too, and it kind of sets that motion for him. And it's one of those things too, where it's like when you're about to have a high, or if you're gonna take a substance, and someone tells you before you take it, no, the last person that took this went crazy and they scratched their skin, like the entire time you're on it, you're like, I'm really itchy. Am I itchy because I'm itchy, or am I itchy because they told me that happened to the last person? Yeah. So then it goes to nighttime, and now he goes outside once again, and he's staring up at the lighthouse, and it looks like William Dafoe is standing up there in the nude. And then
I
he
think that's highly what was indicated.
Yeah, and then he kind of jumps down and he's put his overall on and he hides behind the shed so he doesn't be seen. But once again, it kind of sets that tone of at nighttime he's drawn to the lighthouse. He's drawn to what William Dafoe's doing, or maybe just the light itself. But now that we have this backstory of what happened to his former Ireland mate, the person he replaced, you're like, oh, is Pattinson's going crazy here? Is there a paranormal entity on this rock, as they call it?
Yeah.
Next day, back to cleaning, and he's doing the house, he's doing the chores, and he's up in the lighthouse and he's doing his thing up in the lighthouse and he's greasing the cogs. And William Dafoe comes up and goes, "Yo, what did you have done all day?" Right. Like, what do you mean? He's like, "Get down in the house," and he shows him the house is a mess. And he goes, "I swear I mopped and swept these floors. Like, are you messing with me now?" And he goes, "You haven't done shit all day. You literally did nothing." Like, and then he kind of lays the law down, like, this is what's gonna happen. You're not going to lay around all day and do nothing and then drink all day. Like, not that he didn't say drink yet, but he's like, you're not going to lay around all day and do nothing. You haven't been doing any of your chores. You're sitting out in the shed all day long. You're in the coal pit the whole time, but nothing ever is getting done. You need to pick up your slack. And if you don't, I'm going to start writing you up. I'm going to put it in the book. I'm going to dock you your pay. I'm not going to play this game anymore. Your job is to stay away from that lighthouse and everything else is yours. And he kind of really gets aggressive with this. And then almost kind of gets to a point where he becomes a micromanager, where he's watching everything he's doing and he's writing it in his notebook, and he's really, really, really working him hard. So this is kind of the beginning of like, oh, that things are getting weird now, because the entire time you're seeing Pattinson work here, he's busting his ass. Like, this guy is working himself to the bone every day. But now William Dafoe's like, you haven't done nothing. And you're like, wait a second. You don't know who to believe or what you're watching.
Yeah, everything is like you don't know what's an illusion or which one's in someone's head.
Yeah, and you don't know who's telling the truth. Like because the entire time you're watching a movie, you're like, all right, they're not gonna.
No, who's on it?
I'm gonna be smarter than the movie. I'm gonna figure it out before they tell me. That's kind of how this movie kind of tricks your brain into thinking
exactly
you're smarter than the two people in it.
Exactly.
Let's see what we got here. Oh, then the next day, they're painting the lighthouse and he drops them with the rope. And then you're like, he busts this thing. And then he wakes up to a peacock kind of pecking at him. And he's had this problem with the peacock the day before.
It was a seagull.
Seagull. Sorry, not peacock.
Seagull. It was a seagull.
Yeah, I watched too much Peacock is the problem with the wrestling. So the seagull, he's been having this seagull kind of haunting him and following him and pecking at his window and he's like, don't do anything to that bird. It's bad luck. Don't kill the seagull. Yeah. You'll cause some issues. So he wakes up unconscious, paint all over him, and the bird's eating his pants, and he swats the bird away. And once again here, it really leads to William Dafoe just being a dick to him. Like, he dropped him on purpose. Like, everything about this, like everything you're watching is your team Pattinson and William Dafoe's character is a prick. Yeah.
Total prick.
Yeah. Now he's trying to find out where he keeps the notebook. He's realizing that there's a cabinet that he can't get into. So now there's two things in this island he's not allowed to do anything to, and that's the cabinet and the lighthouse. And that starts driving him mad. Like, what does he keep in there? Well, what's in the lighthouse? Like, he's driving himself a little crazy. Is anything up until this point that really latched you on, or anything you want to kind of talk about?
I think the whole seagull part, I think it's like, that could have been like the spirit of the last guy probably warning him and all that stuff, but he was like,
interesting.
That's a theory.
Yeah.
But no, so far you pretty much put it into like perspective. There's just some mystical whole feeling about the lighthouse itself and the behavior between the two guys. You're not really sure what perspective we're telling the story from here.
Yeah, and as a watcher, you're watching this, and I'm probably giving you more details than the movie is. Just being honest in these notes, like that they are not telling you a thing.
You need to watch this more than one time, honestly.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna rewatch. I'm a 1-through watch. Like, I literally have it timed out that I watch it, and then like I have 15-20 minutes to collect my thoughts, and then I come on this podcast. That's how I do this. So yeah, he that night now they're hanging out talking. And we have a doggo running in the background. And you're good. And you find out that his name, Robert Pattinson's character's name is Winslow.
Winslow, yeah.
His first name is
Thomas.
Shit. No. The first name he gives. It's like Aramis or Aramis.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I forgot what the name was.
Yeah, Lily's gonna say it in the chat because she had a connection that his protagonist in Twilight, the wolf guy, the grandfather wolf was the same name as the character he says at first in this movie. It's whatever it is, or Winslow. And then he tells him how he used to work at a lumber yard and there was some injuries and just it was a really tough job and he was sick of it. And he just kind of moves around a lot. And William Dafoe goes, "Well, you're on the run, or what's going on here? Are you running from problems?" And he's like, "No, I just don't really find a job that really suits me. I'm pretty much a loner. I want to come to all these jobs. I work as hard as I possibly can, and the more I travel away from home, the more money I make, and I want to save up my money, and I want to build my own house and just be left alone."
Exactly.
There it is. Ephraim.
Yeah. Ephraim.
And then William Dafoe tells a story how he used to be a seaman. Like he was always on boats. He was a sailor. He was like the whole nine. And he hurt his leg and he no longer was able to be on the seas. And that's how he took this job on the island, because he gets to still have his love of the sea. And he likes the seclusion and stuff. And he loves being out in that atmosphere. So they really learn about each other. They kind of start getting along a little bit. And once again, the next night, William Dafoe's out and he starts, he's just staring at the lighthouse. And this scene, nothing crazy happens, no hallucinations, no looking at William Dafoe. He's just at this point staring at the lighthouse every night. And you're like, okay, it's more about not so much William's character or Thomas' character. I don't even think, no, William Dafoe doesn't say his name here yet either.
Not quite yet.
But yeah, he's not obsessed with William Dafoe. He's more obsessed with the lighthouse itself. And then it kind of goes right back to daylight again at this point. And you can tell he can't sleep at night, but he's always sneaking up on Will to find out what's going on. So when he sneaks up on Will this time in the lighthouse, it appears maybe he's masturbating because goop comes down, but probably more than a human can create.
A goopiness,
a goopiness, and then you're thinking, oh, he's doing that, and then he looks up, tentacles are going all over the place, and you're like, and then once again he just wakes up the next day, and you're like, what the fuck was that?
When I first saw that, I'm like, is there like a sea monster in this movie now? Is there a Kraken here?
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was really getting. So the whole time I was watching this and I seen the tentacle and everything that was going on, I immediately thought we were going to get some like H.P. Lovecraft stuff. I thought we were kind of diving into that realm.
And also what I love about this is to go with the black and white aesthetic, they kind of use like a cheap, almost claymated tentacle. Like it didn't have the high budget CGI, but it blended with the movie so perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. The next day he goes to start pumping water in the sink and it's really sludgy and I thought muddy. But then when he goes outside to see what's going on, he opens the well, there's a dead seagull in it. So I'm thinking maybe it wasn't mud, it was blood, but in black and white,
you can't
dirty
tell.
Water looks like dirty water. Yeah. And as he's looking at the dead seagull, the other seagull that's been terrorizing him lands right in front of him. And like, it kind of goes after him and kind of attacks him. And he grabs it by the neck and he slams it on the ground.
My favorite scene in the whole movie.
He beats the shit out of this.
Bludgeons this bird.
Yeah, he hits it like Thor throwing Loki around in the first Avengers movie. He beats this thing until there's nothing left.
I'll tell you this. I intentionally wanted to watch reaction videos to this movie of people watching it just for that scene. I think I saw this person who's like a Twilight fan, like, oh, I'm gonna watch this because Pattinson's in it, Edward's in it, and then to see him murder a seagull in the most gruesome way possible.
Yeah,
it's like insanity.
And when this happens, the foghorn that's been going off every couple minutes throughout the extent of this movie, it doesn't stop. So the whole time you're watching this, you're also like, a scene's going on and
yep.
So as soon as he hits that last hit of that seagull,
the wind changes direction.
The lighthouse, the lighthouse at this point almost becomes alive. Like that's the vibe you get. They pan up to the lighthouse and they get to the top and it's like it's shaking and you see the winds and the storms coming. And William Dafoe is essentially like, hey, there's a huge storm coming, but don't worry, let's batten everything down, figure everything out. You leave tomorrow. You did it, bud. You passed your 4 weeks. You're out of here. And you're thinking, all right, great. So they start boarding up the windows. They're getting ready for the storm. They go out and they bring in some lobster casts. They have the cages out there. They catch some lobsters. They're going to have a lobster dinner. They're going to enjoy themselves. And then he kind of says to him, he goes, hey, listen, you made it. There ain't no worries now. Have a beer with me. Have a drink. And it's not beer. Definitely not beer. It's definitely probably grain alcohol. Yeah. And he goes, have a drink with me. And he goes, you know what? I did. I worked really hard. I'm gonna kind of kick back. And he has his first glass. One glass turns into two turns into a bottle. They're laughing. They're going crazy.
And it seems like they're best friends now.
Yeah, they're buds. They're absolute buds. And you find out from here that William Dafoe's character's name. He's Thomas Wake. So they're both
Wake. Yeah.
They're like we have
Ephraim.
What the fuck? Ephraim, I keep forgetting. Winslow and Thomas Wake. Yes. The next day he wakes up on the floor, hungover, drunk, and he dumps
hasn't
two
come
bowls.
Yet. Oh yeah.
He dumps those two bowls out, which
I think it's shit.
I thought it was either shit or gross food or throw up or whatever.
I think it's heavily implied that it's nothing that you want to have splashed on you.
Yes, and he goes to throw it over he walks it outside. He goes to throw it off, and the wind catches it and throws all of it right back in his face.
And then my favorite reaction, he just he did, and then it's the delayed scream.
Yeah, so yeah, that happens to him, and trying to think if I missed something here. Wake up on the floor, starts doing all of his chores. He's cleaning up. He's doing everything. And then he looks over while he's doing his one chore, and he sees like a washed up body again. Yeah. He runs over and he sees what's going on, and it's a woman. And he starts taking all the seaweed and everything off her, and she's bare. She's naked. And he kind of goes down her rib cage, and he's kind of feeling her up a little bit, getting a little weird.
He feels gills.
And then he feels gills, and then he realizes that her bottoms is a fish. She's the mermaid. She's a siren, and she wakes up and she starts screaming and singing, and he runs away and he goes into the house, and and then he really doesn't say anything. He's just kind of like terrified. When he's like, "What are you doing? Like, are you packed? Like, what's going on here?" And he's really now he's questioning if he's losing it or he's just, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm not worrying about it. They go out and they stand waiting for the boat, and it's pouring down rain. And the boat never comes. He's stuck.
Nope. Yeah.
He's there now. So essentially gets back to work, and he's working again he's doing his thing, and Defoe breaks in, or Tom breaks in, and says, "We have a problem. The damp hit our rations." So I'm guessing the food got wet. All of their food got wet. So now they're kind of screwed with their supplies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he goes, "Come with me. We'll get some more rations." So this is where it kind of confuses me if the rations are their food or the rations are the booze. I'm not sure here, but they said the damp got our rations. So he makes them go out and dig a giant hole, and they pull this crate out, and the crate kind of just shows more bottles. They don't show food. Right. They just show it's more booze. So there was booze buried on the island, and that's what they dig up. And then once again, they get absolutely hammered, and they get sloshed up again. And as they're doing this, he kind of takes the knife from the kitchen table, and he kind of pockets it, and it doesn't really say much about that. But he starts Tom starts telling stories again, and his backstory is changing about what he used to do, and what happened to his leg, and he's not being consistent with his stories. But everything he kind of talks is very Irish, very Yeed, it's kind of like old 19th century stuff. So you don't know if he's talking in she Shanty or if he's talking in real life.
That's my favorite part of Robert Eggers films. I think you'll really appreciate when you watch more of them. He does period pieces, but he keeps the dialogue as true to the time period as they possibly can. That's when you watch The Witch, you're gonna hear them speaking in old timey English almost, and almost Shakespearean. So yeah, that's something Robert Eggers, tremendous director, but I think he's an even better writer because he keeps all of his dialogue true to the time.
Yeah. Now this scene here is my favorite scene in the movie. I think this scene alone should be pulled out and really studied. I thought it was one of the funniest scenes ever because this movie is so serious, and you're all about it, and you're psychologically frustrated. You don't know what's going on, but they keep drinking, and then all of a sudden, you know, Robert Pattinson's character, Winslow, is just being a dick. He's just angry drunk, and he's like pissed off at William Dafoe because he's finally breaking about how he's riding him and being a kind of a dick to him. And then they're arguing, and he's like, you know what? And I'm sick of everything about you and who you are, and your food sucks. I think it goes, you don't mean that, do you? You hate my food?
You don't mean that.
And he kind of
He gets genuinely offended.
Yeah, it turns into like an old school like sitcom between a husband and a wife. Like, you don't like my food? I work so hard on my food. Like, to the point where William Dafoe's character, Tom, gets so pissed, he does this giant monologue calling on the god Neptune to smite him and kill him and go. And it's a 3.5-4 minute long monologue of all the horrible things that he wants to be done to him for hating his food and who he is as a person. And then my favorite
soundbite is like, and your farts.
Yeah,
your goddamn farts.
And he kind of just looks at William Dafoe and he's just like, all right, you win. I like the lobster. And that's the end of the scene. Like, he just goes through this whole thing about he wishes death on him, and he's just like, no, you're right. I like your lobster. And that's the end of the scene. It literally had such a break in the movie where you're just like, oh my God.
It kind of really does throw you off your toes. It's just how wild it is.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes. And in cinema, it's really, really good.
Hell yeah.
So the next day he sneaks, but he's passed out as well. So he's now sneaking around. He tries to take the knife upstairs and he tries to lockpick the lighthouse. He can't get it. So he goes downstairs. He tries to lockpick the cabinet. He's able to lockpick the cabinet with a knife. There's nothing in it that he wants. He closes it up and he goes up to sneak to take the keys off of Thomas in bed. And as he's doing it, he has the knife and he kind of has it to his neck. And this is where I don't know what's going on because the floorboard creaks, but he kind of looks as if it came from the door as somebody else was coming. Mm-hmm. And he quick hides the knife, and Robert and William Dafoe wakes up and he says it's a pretty queer way to wear your shoes because he had them in his back pocket because he was sneaking around with no shoes on. Yeah. And he goes, "Why didn't want to wake you?" And he's like, "Oh, okay." And they kind of chalk it up to nothing. But it kind of shows that like he was willing to get him to find out what's going on upstairs in that lighthouse, which is an interesting move, right? Like you could tell he's kind of going mad.
Yeah, no, they both kind of gone mad.
Yeah, at this point you don't know who to believe. You're still more on team William Dafoe. You're not your team Robert, but then you're also seeing Robert seeing mermaids and he's kind of losing his mind, but then you kind of lose your trust in him as well. So at this point you're just like, they're both drunk and I don't know what's reality anymore. Because now both of them are showing you that they can't be trusted because Defoe's character is showing that he's not keeping his story straight, and Pattinson's character is showing you that he's having a mental break and he's seeing things that probably aren't there. Yeah. And this is where if you had any faith left in good old Winslow, you're gonna lose it in this next scene because he goes back to work and he's doing everything he's supposed to be doing, but he's drinking that while he's on the job now. He's drinking during the day and he's drinking at night, and he's in the shed where he kind of has to do the coal, and he's there with no shirt on, and he's rubbing the toy doll mermaids, and he's fantasizing that he's making love to the real mermaid. And viewer discretion is advised. You see things on a mermaid you didn't think you needed to see ever in your life. So there's a mermaid sex scene. If that does anything for you, go check it out. But he's essentially, it's him playing with this toy of a naked mermaid and masturbating in the shed and just absolutely going nuts. Like he's seeing all these weird visions. He's seeing, this weird body and this blonde haired guy. And like, you're like, he's losing it. Like you're seeing all these different amalgamations of wildness going on.
This Dexter Loomis looking guy.
Yeah. This weird Dexter Loomis. Good call out. I like that. And then it's almost at the point where you kind of see the trend of the movie. During the day, William Dafoe and his relationship is not good. William Dafoe works him hard,
but at night,
he's in his head. They're both drunk, but at nighttime, they're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like they drink, they party, they love each other, but during the day, something about daytime, it's ugly. Is it the illumination of the light during the night that is keeping, you know, like, is there a weird connection with that? Who knows?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's probably also when the weather dissipates, the winds kind of get a bit easy at night. So
yeah,
it's
less
not
chaos,
really
maybe
less chaos. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and the whole time this is happening, it's storming. So that you're hearing rain, you're hearing foghorns. It's just once again a sensory nightmare.
Yeah.
But so they're dancing, they're getting hammered, they're drinking, they're just really hanging out with each other, and then they start slow dancing, and then William Dafoe's singing, and then they kind of lean in about to kiss each other, and they back up and they quick put their dukes up, and they just start fighting. They're like, "No, too gay," and they start fighting each other.
I know, it's the most random thing ever. Like I think it was Robert Pattinson that tried to initiate and went in for it.
Yeah. So they fist fight each other, and eventually it cuts to them laying in each other's laps, and he's like, "Can I trust you?" And he's like, "No, you can't trust me." And he's like, "Well, I want to tell you something about my logging job, and I want to tell you more about myself." And he's like,
"And
nah.
Here's where we learn." Huh?
And he's like, "No, I don't want to hear any of that." So then they kind of like essentially he doesn't confess to him, but he wants to. And then it cuts to Pattinson sitting on the edge of his bed, and he starts talking. And then you hear that, you know, his last boss used to ride him and yell at him and scream at him and carry on and treat him like garbage. Yeah. And they were working, and he kind of slips under the water, and all the logs kind of go over top of him. And he just kind of stands there and watches it. Did he help in the case of him going under the water? That's you really don't know. They don't really get into it, but the way it's described he describes it, it was an accident. I could have helped. I chose not to. And when I didn't, he died. And I realized that, you know, he has a fresh start. He has a fresh life. Nobody knows him outside of here. So I can take his identity and I can become Ephraim Winslow. But my real name is Tom. Is it?
It's Tom something.
Yeah, I kind of went off my notes, just going crazy there. Tom, yeah, what the hell is his name? Tom Howard. Thank you. Sorry, I lost my notes. Yeah. I was going freestyle and I lost my spot here. Yeah, so he tells me he's Tom Howard, and the whole time he starts doing that, he looks and goes, "Well, Tom, where are you at?" And Tom's nowhere to be found, but you hear a faint, "Why'd you spill the beans? Why'd you spill the beans?"
Like, why did you tell me that?
Yeah, why did you tell me that? But he's not around. Like it's insinuating in this scene that he kind of confessed to nobody, but now is his mind saying, "Oh my God, did I actually tell him that?"
Yeah.
And you don't really know what happens here. And it kind of ends in this weird hallucination of where he's going crazy. And then the next day he wakes up and he gets an axe, and he gets the boat. He's gonna leave. He's out of here. He just confessed this thing. He doesn't know if he truly confessed it or if he didn't confess it. He doesn't know what's real or not real. But he's not safe here anymore. So he gets on. There's a boat in this like dock. He jumps on the boat. He's about to pull away, and Defoe's chasing him with an axe, and he beats the shit out of the boat with an axe. He goes, "You ain't going anywhere. You abandoned your post." He runs in the house. William Dafoe's chasing them with the axe. They get inside, and they start talking. He's like, "Why did you told me this crazy?" Actually, am I jumping ahead? Oh, and this is where William Dafoe kind of like flips it on him, where he's like, he kind of says, "You're manipulating me. You're tricking me. I don't like it. I don't like what you're doing." He goes, "What do you mean I'm tricking you? You literally, he accuses him of killing his last partner because he's seen the body. Because during one of the visions, he pulls up the crab thing, and in the crab thing is this guy's head that he thinks is his former partner." So he's like, "You killed your partner, da 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 da." And he's like, "Wait a second, you're accusing me of killing my former partner when you just confessed to the craziest shit last night?" Like, he goes, "And by the way, can I have the knife that you have hidden in your pocket? Like, you just chased me back in here with an axe." And then you're like, "Wait a second, is this guy just gaslighting him? Is this gaslight
that's
house?"
What I was to say, he's gaslighting this guy.
Yeah, so like we have no idea what to believe again. But Robert Pattinson gets to the point where he's like, he's confused, and he doesn't know what's going on. And at this point now, nighttime goes away, and they're drinking like fuel the fuel, and it looks like a
because they
slime.
run out of alcohol.
Yeah, so they're drinking just straight kerosene or fuel, but they're mixing it with a slime. But yeah, I think the slime is honey, which during some research, that's what they're mixing it with. And they're drinking this, and they just go full like primal. They're beating each other's chest. They're drinking
It's
pure
not even
alcohol.
a normal drunkenness. It's just just insanity.
Yeah. So you know, the whole time they're doing this, the storm has gotten to its peak. The house is completely trashed. The roof is leaking everywhere, and they're kind of holding out under a table. The windows bust in from water, and it's fucking chaos. And then everything kind of subsides. The storm goes away, and the Notebook floats by. And and
the log, right?
The log. He picks up the log and he starts looking through it. He's paging through everything.
He sees that Wake is talking shit about him or wanting to fire him. Yeah,
and just kind of putting all these negativity, how he did all these terrible things. So he punches the clock and he goes and tries to find him. And he he goes to him and he's like, "Listen, man, like you're putting all this bullshit in this book about me. You know, you're saying I'm a bad worker. I've been busting my fucking ass here." And and then he kind of calls him back out and he goes, "No, man, you have been doing nothing this whole time. You've been drinking the whole time you've been here. You've been a fuck up." And he goes, "And I told you not to kill the seagull, and you killed the damn seagull, and you brought all this bad luck upon us."
He knew, yeah.
So they let's see here. Oh, and then he starts telling about the mermaids and the blackouts. And I'm sorry, no. They start fighting after that. So they go through everything. They're fist fighting, and they get to a point where he has them on the ground and he's choking him and he's punching them. But as he's punching him, now William Dafoe is looking like he's the mermaid. Then he looks like his old boss, the Dexter Loomis looking guy. And then he turns into like Ursula, where he has these crazy tentacles and they're grabbing him. And he essentially beats him almost to death. To the point where he's kind of like, he's standing over top of him and he's like, "Bark like a dog." And William Dafoe's like, "Woof, woof." So they show him kind of making him walk him out with a leash, and he walks into the hole that they dug open to get the grain alcohol or everything they got. And he starts burying him alive. And another great monologue here where William Dafoe is cutting this promo. And the whole time he's cutting it, man, they're just
dirt is going in his mouth.
He's chewing the dirt. He's chewing it so he can finish his lines. I would love to see the behind the scenes footage of that scene of how many times they're like, "I can't talk with dirt," because I don't think William Dafoe would. If that was a one take, I'd believe it.
But like, he's an incredible actor, William Dafoe.
Yeah, so crazy. He starts burying him alive, and the whole time he's just about the point where he's about to become completely covered. And he goes, "Don't you want to know what's in the lighthouse?
Right.
I'll take you in. I'll show you."
Yeah.
Whatever. And it kind of like he snaps out of it and goes, "He has the keys." So he jumps in the hole. He rips the keys off him, stops burying him alive, and kind of leaves him on top of the dirt, runs in, and he starts trying to make his way in, figuring things out. And as he's doing that, the folk sneaks in with the axe, buries it into his shoulder. He pulls the axe out, takes the axe, knocks Dafoe down to the ground, and they don't show it, but blood splatter everywhere. So he ended what Tom is dead. Tom is axed
should be
out.
Dead at this point.
Yeah. He's in bad shape.
Gives him free access to the lighthouse now.
Runs up to the lighthouse. Now here's one thing. He gets up to the lighthouse and he's crawling up the stairs, which I thought was an interesting move. But I guess he's probably exhausted, whatever it may be, covered in blood. He's blood loss, maybe all that. He's hammered, so who knows? But he gets to the lighthouse. He opens up the lock and he's standing. He doesn't fully go up. He's kind of standing halfway in, halfway out, and the lighthouse spins and then it just kind of opens by itself. And it's like that Pulp Fiction moment where you see something that we don't see, but whatever it is, he's enamored by it. There's this distortion, scream, laughing, which is like the most menacing thing I've ever heard.
Like starts out as a laugh and then it turns into a scream slowly, but like muffled, like it's like it's in a TV, like on the radio or something, like something you hear on a radio.
Yep. And then he falls down the steps from the top of the lighthouse to the bottom,
breaks all his bones,
breaks everything. And then he's outside the lighthouse, out in the shore, and the movie ends with all of the seagulls picking his bones clean. And it was kind of a callback to earlier in the movie when he says, "Well, why is it bad luck to kill a seagull?" And he says, "Because they're the first ones to take care of your body when you're a sailor and you're gone." And it's pretty much all the birds picking them clean. And that's essentially Lighthouse in a hole. And I remember I watched it and I said, "Holy shit. I don't know what I watched. I feel like I have to watch it again, but I enjoyed what I seen."
it's great. It's a great movie, but you want to see more. You have to see more.
Yeah. So where did you stand on this? What how much of this movie do you think happened? What's your theory on it? What's your take on it? Do you believe everything you were told?
I honestly do not know. I think it's safe to say they both just kind of went mad because it's isolation. It's cabin fever. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And then there's all this superstition from semen type stuff happened, and I think even it invokes some Greek mythology in there too.
Yeah.
Because,
So I got a little mythology with the Prometheus.
Prometheus, pecking the eyes out.
Yep, and then
inventing fire.
Words kind of, there's a symbology that he's probably Prometheus and William Dafoe is probably Zeus. So there's some things on that. There's some sexual
overstepping his
this.
Very much so.
Yeah, and then also Lily is saying perfectly in the chat that it was it really felt like the Raven from Edgar Allan Poe, where he's so driven crazy from the death of his boss, whether he did it or not or assisted it, where he kind of came into the lighthouse to run, to escape, to be away from everybody, but he kind of drove himself mad and he went to a place where he probably shouldn't have been mentally.
Yeah.
And once he got there, maybe he's a serial killer. Maybe he's not right. And William Dafoe just happened to find this weirdo that he gets partnered up with to go do this job. Like a lot of it kind of by the end of it, to me, seems like William Dafoe probably wasn't as bad as we were seeing him to be. We were kind of being tricked by Robert Pattinson
from his perspective,
from his perspective and his mental illness problems.
No, yeah, exactly. Robert Pattinson's crime could have been so much more worse in the way he put it.
Yeah,
you never really know, honestly.
He traveled a lot, so you don't know how many different. If he was willing to take an identity once, that's probably something he's probably done before.
And he was so willing to kill, like the way he just swiftly brought that axe down on Dafoe when he killed him.
Yeah,
it's like he's done it before. I
think so too. I think Pattinson's probably a serial killer. Like I think he's been doing some shit.
And he used that as a escape to lay low for a while, so he can go back out and kill.
Yeah, 100%. He's gonna go out in the middle of the ocean, maybe take up a new identity. Who knows what the plan is there? But I think he bit off more than he can chew. I think he went out there and his game plan was probably his weakness when he does do his killing and his bidding is his alcoholism, because he was like, no, I don't drink. And then he finally broke down and had a drink, and that's when he lost full control. Yeah. So maybe that was his insanity on top of the alcohol. Who knows? But man, a lot going on here.
But it's also probably not above Dafoe's character to he did kill his previous mate, his previous lighthouse mate.
Yeah. Oh, Lily says the quote here, you're not my boss, you're not a cop, and you're not my father. Almost kind of like maybe possible other victims. We know about the boss. He doesn't really talk about his family, and he's on the run, possibly. So who knows? If it comes down to this movie on a scale of 1 to 5, you can use quarter, 1.25, 1.5, 1.75. You could break it down like that. I usually say 2 is a good movie. 3 is, a really good movie. 4 is this movie's fantastic. 5 is it's perfect. I protect those 4s and 5s. I think I think that for me personally, I try to keep those 4s and 5s sacred, and a movie really has to earn that for me. So on that system, what would you give this? How many lighthouses do you give this from 1 to 5?
I want to give it a 4, but yeah, I agree with your thing. So I'm gonna give it 3.9.
3.9. I'm gonna go 3.5. I'll give it a 3.5. Yeah. I think this is a really good movie. It's definitely another one I want to watch back and experience more of.
I think you'll enjoy all of Robert Eggers' other films too.
Awesome. So besides this movie, what are some other things pop culture wise that you're super into, or maybe some other movies you can recommend, or maybe a movie you want to come back and do again with me?
That's a great question. I haven't been to the movies in a while. The last movie I think I saw in theaters was Monkey Man or something.
Okay.
That's the Dev Patel movie where he's Indian John Wick. It's pretty kick-ass.
I heard about it, yeah.
As far as what my taste in movies are, it's all this art house stuff. He's a controversial figure in filmmaking, but he's a great director, and it's Lars von Trier. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
No.
He's like this big time art house film. He does like really, really intense. Like he has a trilogy of movies called his trilogy of depression, where it's
Okay.
all movies that deal with mental health and all that stuff.
Did he do the Babadook?
No, he doesn't do
Oh.
horror so much, or at least not overtly horror.
Okay.
It's like he did like, I don't know if you've heard of Melancholia. That's part of this trilogy.
No, I haven't heard that one.
He's one of the founders of the Dogma 95 movement, which is a film movement where invented in Scandinavia. He's from Denmark, this guy.
Okay.
Where it's like minimal, like using minimal budget stuff to make a movie. Like minimal music, minimal like natural lighting.
Interesting.
All that stuff.
Also, you have to probably send that to me. I'll look into it.
Heck yeah. But something to cover, like I would love to see someone talk about the movie Trainspotting.
Trainspotting.
Yeah, it's a Danny Boyle movie. It's it's like my favorite movie. It's with Ewan McGregor from like 1996. It's about a group of junkies trying to get clean in Scotland. But it has like a whole bunch of awesome editing choices, and like it's funny, but it's also very gut-wrenching at the same time.
How would I find that, like, to watch it?
I don't know what streaming service it's on though.
If you could find it on somewhere like a digital,
I'll
like, let me know.
I'll
look into it. Maybe that could be a returning spot for you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot. Did you see the new? I just reviewed it last episode. The Late Night with the Devil.
No, but I heard that's really good.
Oh, it's fucking awesome.
I think I talked to Big Dust about it last time. I saw him, and like he talked about like there's like the use of AI painting in there, and it's like he's like, "What's your view on the use of AI in film?" And I'm like, for something like that, it's fine.
Yeah. So essentially, what they use the AI for, and it's kind of bullshit because they probably didn't have to. It's literally for like a split second. So the movie shot like a late night TV show.
Yeah.
So when they go like, "We'll be back after these messages," and it says "Be right back." It's a "Be right back" screen, but like a 1970s one. But it's like pumpkins. Like it's like if the late night had the "We'll be right back" and it's like Halloween themed. But you can tell they said it was done by AI, and it was just something to quick throw on screen as like a "Be right back" screen, and that was the only thing they used. And then people were like really up in arms about it. I get it, right? I get it, but I don't know. It's one of those.
Here's one I think I would definitely love to talk to you about. So you hear about Beau is Afraid?
Beau is Afraid. No,
that's an Ari Aster film. It's a same director as Midsommar and Hereditary.
I seen Midsommar. I have yet to see Hereditary. I have to watch that.
Same director. Beau is Afraid. It's like a 3-hour movie, but it's batshit utter insanity. It doesn't feel like 3 hours because of how batshit insane it is. It's with Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
It's batshit. I think we have to talk about that next.
All right. I wrote down Trainspotting and Beau is Afraid. We'll definitely look into both of those.
Yeah, that one might be on. It might be on Max because it's an A24 film.
Yeah, you actually, it might be. You think you're right. I did see though at.
Let's just talk about how great A24 is. Like how fucking solid movies they keep putting out.
Yeah, I have to watch more of them. I've only ever seen Midsommar, and I really liked it. I enjoyed that movie.
I mean, that's where Iron Claw came out.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was. Yeah,
A24.
We just reviewed that as well. That was a. That was a movie.
I like that one though. I like
choice.
Yeah.
A lot of they left a lot out or changed a lot, but
I understand why
overall
from a
movie it was
perspective.
Yeah, from a filmmaking perspective, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
Left a whole brother out because they're like, there's too much sadness. We can't handle anymore.
And I'm one of the few people that thought the Ric Flair impression was like Ric Flair portrayal was fine. It was not bad.
Yeah, I think, and I understand why they did it. Because Efron's the bigger actor and it's a movie about Kevin, but I would have had Efron play Carrie and I would have had what's his name? I played Carrie play Eric.
Oh, you mean Kevin? You mean
Kevin? I would have had Zac
Jeremy
Efron
Allen White. Yeah.
He would have played Texas Tornado and Carrie, and then the kid from Shameless should have been Kevin. Bonner.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Probably.
Yeah. Because I feel like the differences, like Efron was bigger than his brother, and That's just not the case for Carrie and Kevin.
Kevin Von Erich was never that big.
Yeah, Kevin was a monster in this movie compared to Carrie. Just looked. The kid who plays Carrie is a great actor.
Yeah,
but I felt like he would have been better as Kevin.
And then also saying that, and also Kevin being 6'2" or something when Zac Efron in real life is like 5'8".
Yeah, 100%. Actually, Zac Efron would have played the brother they cut out of the movie probably better because he was shorter and muscular.
But they needed him to be the lead, though. He needed to be the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Where can people support you? What do you have coming up that maybe people can go check out?
I am. You can find me on Twitter at @NotFakeAbs, and then also on Instagram at NotFakeAbs. Looking to get more stuff out there. You can find my t-shirts and merch at brainbustertees.com. You can catch me at Invictus Pro Wrestling next time they have a show around August. I work for Intergender Bonanza. I'm part of the CWO, Creamy World Order. High Tension Wrestling when they come around. I'm regular there. And other places, and yeah.
We're going to try to add more places that ABJ's at. We have a few things up our sleeves. Maybe we're going to bring abs to the 570 very soon.
Oh, heck yeah. Do that.
I need more abs in my life. I need to get those big hugs, I appreciate you so much. I definitely have you on the list for these other two movies, and we'll definitely love to have you back, man. So anything in closing with Lighthouse, recommend, not recommend? Where were we at?
Oh, 100%. I totally recommend. It's like almost life altering. It's almost, and see it twice, people out there. Once, like probably on drugs, and the second time sober.
I'm doing the reverse. I watched it sober. Now I'm gonna go and smoke and watch it again.
I think you might actually have an anxiety attack.
I might. We'll see how it goes. I was able to get a new membership pop through. So huge thank you at the beginning. I want to say this before we get out of here. Huge thank you to Joni becoming a new YouTube member. So I guess people are still able to sign up or join. I just don't think they can do super chats or donations right now. I don't know how it's really working, but huge thank you for that. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much for participating and hanging out. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Make sure you go check out some merchandise, buy some t-shirts, and let's have some fun. And like I said, if the donations and stuff aren't there for you to be able to do it, go check out below, go grab a t-shirt, hit up the PayPal, the Venmos, Cash Apps are all there. If you can't afford it, just hit like and subscribe. It's completely free and it helps out more than you know. That's going to do it for us here today. Abs joining us for Lighthouse. We're out of here.
Yeah.
This is an ABJ podcast production. Join us. Would you kindly join us at the Cult of ABJ Discord community? We'll see you there. Join us.